We live in a world where scarcity is treated as the norm and abundance as the exception. Most people have been conditioned to believe that thriving is a privilege of the few, when in fact it is a natural right for all of us. Abundance is not a prize won through extreme effort. It's a state of consciousness, activated from within, and when it happens, it transforms everything around you. In this video, you'll understand why your financial, emotional, and existential reality doesn't depend on what you have, but on the frequency at which you vibrate. We'll reveal how scarcity is an illusion upheld by dense mental patterns, and how dissolving them can activate such a powerful flow of prosperity that it will seem almost unbelievable, or even illegal. Write in the comments, "I am a channel of infinite natural abundance," and let this affirmation be the beginning of your vibrational reprogramming. Jacobo Grinberg was one of the few scientists who dared to cross the boundaries of conventional knowledge to investigate the true nature of reality. Trained in neurophysiology, Grinberg was not satisfied with reductionist explanations of the brain and mind. He immersed himself in spiritual traditions, studied shamanism, explored expanded states of consciousness, and formulated one of the boldest and most transformative theories of the century, the neuronal field theory. To him, reality is not something fixed and external. It is a projection shaped by the structure of our consciousness. Grinberg argued that what we perceive as real is nothing more than a reflection of the mental frequencies we maintain. This includes our experience with money, with time, with relationships, and with everything we call life. According to him, scarcity and abundance are different manifestations of the same energy, modulated by our vibrational state. If we are trapped in patterns of fear, lack, and limitation, that is what we project. But when we tune our minds to the frequency of abundance, reality begins to reorganize itself to reflect that internal shift. Grinberg not only offers us a new vision of the world, he hands us the map to access a level of prosperity that starts from within. Scarcity, as most people experience it, is not an objective reality. It is a mental construct. From an early age, we learn to look at the world through limited lenses. Phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," "life is hard," or "only those born rich prosper," embed themselves in the mind and become internal truths. This conditioning, inherited from family, culture, and society, shapes a narrow perception based on struggle and lack. And the worst part is that most don't even realize they are trapped in a carefully installed illusion. This illusion of scarcity is not limited to money. It manifests in relationships, in opportunities we fail to see, in the difficulty of trusting or feeling deserving. When you live under this programming, the external reality automatically aligns with that internal pattern. You end up noticing only what confirms your belief in limitation, ignoring signs of abundance that are around you all the time. The human brain, through the reticular activation system, RAS, filters millions of pieces of information per second and highlights only what it considers relevant. And what does it deem relevant? That which aligns with your dominant beliefs. If you believe the world is hostile, that life is a battle, that is exactly what your brain will highlight. In other words, even if opportunities, solutions, or new paths appear, you won't notice them because your mind is not programmed to see them. Jacobo Grinberg understood this limitation as part of what he called the neuronal field, a mental field where our perception is molded by unconscious internal structures. According to him, the external world is not something fixed, but a malleable projection of individual consciousness. In other words, what you see as reality is just a reflection of what is happening inside you. Scarcity, therefore, is not outside, it is within. This understanding completely transforms the way we relate to life, because if limitation is a program, it can be reprogrammed. If what we live is a reflection of the mind, then we have the power to alter that experience by modifying the consciousness that projects it. In this context, abundance ceases to be something to be achieved and becomes something to be accessed. But for that, we need to get out of autopilot. We must observe, with courage and honesty, the thoughts we feed ourselves every day. Notice how many of our decisions are based on the fear of losing, on the feeling of not having or not being enough. This observation is the first step to break the illusion. Because when we see scarcity as a program and not as an absolute truth, we open the door to a new way of living. Abundance is not essentially about quantity. It is a frequency. This statement may seem abstract at first glance, but it is deeply real when we look at how consciousness interacts with the universe. Every matter, every thought, every emotion has a vibration, and it is the dominant vibration we emit, not our conscious desires, that determines what we attract and what we experience. Just as a radio only picks up the station it is tuned to, our mind only manifests experiences compatible with the frequency we are broadcasting. If we vibrate fear, scarcity, and insecurity, it creates a reality where these emotions manifest concretely. Bills that never add up, opportunities that never appear, relationships that fall apart. But when we vibrate trust, gratitude, and fullness, we start tuning into a higher field of possibilities, where the natural flow of abundance manifests more easily. Jacobo Grinberg understood this when studying the relationships between consciousness and reality. For him, the world is not external to the mind, it is built by it. What we perceive as reality is just a vibrational selection within an infinite field of possibilities. Grinberg affirmed that by altering the frequency of consciousness, we alter the pattern of the field we perceive as objective reality. This view converges with ancient teachings from various spiritual traditions, which have always said, "As within, so without." The problem is that most people try to reach abundance using the logic of scarcity. They struggle, fight, accumulate assets without awareness, all hoping that one day they will have enough and then feel prosperous. But this is a perspective error. The frequency of scarcity can never generate abundance. It's like trying to boil water without heat. The right vibration must come before manifestation. Therefore, it's not enough to wish for abundance. We must vibrate abundance. That means cultivating emotional and mental states that correspond to what we want to experience: security, gratitude, peace, generosity, lightness. These states do not depend on external circumstances. They can be cultivated right now, just as they are. From an energetic standpoint, the universe does not respond to what we say we want, but to what we feel as truth. If we say, "I want prosperity," but we vibrate worry and urgency, the universal field picks up the frequency of fear, and that is what returns to us as reality. Understanding abundance as a frequency gives us back our power. We no longer need to wait for external conditions to change to feel whole. We can adjust our vibration now, and by doing so, the world begins to silently reorganize itself to reflect this new state. Abundance then ceases to be an effort and becomes a natural reflection of who we have become internally. The transformation of scarcity into abundance starts in the mind, more precisely, in the reprogramming of the beliefs that sustain our perception of reality. If scarcity is, as we have seen, a frequency fueled by repetitive mental patterns, then we need to intervene in those patterns to create a new internal structure that supports the experience of prosperity. The first step is to recognize, what do you believe about money, about success, about worthiness? Many of these beliefs were absorbed in childhood, often without a filter. Phrases heard repeatedly like, "Money is dirty," "You have to sweat for everything," or "Those who have a lot of money have cheated someone," lodge themselves in the subconscious and begin to guide decisions, behaviors, and perceptions without the person realizing it. These thoughts are not universal truths, they are conditioning, and what was learned can be unlearned. Reprogramming begins with conscious observation. Whenever a thought of scarcity arises, this is too expensive, this isn't for me, this won't work, stop and question it. Is this really the only way to see this situation? That very act of questioning already starts weakening the automation of the mental pattern. The mind, like any system, responds to new instructions when they are offered with clarity and consistency. One of the most powerful tools for this reconfiguration is conscious affirmations. It's not just about repeating phrases mechanically, but about using words loaded with emotion, intention, and vibrational coherence. Affirmations like, "I am worthy of the abundance that already exists in the universe," or "everything I need comes to me at the right time," should be repeated daily, especially during moments of increased mental receptivity, like upon waking or before sleeping. Beyond words, active visualization is another transformative resource. Visualize yourself living the reality you desire with the richest sensory and emotional detail possible. Feel the peace when you see your bank account balanced, the satisfaction when you complete your projects, the freedom of having time and energy for what you love. The brain does not distinguish imagination from reality. It responds to internal images based on the intensity of the associated emotion. Another effective practice is abundant gratitude journaling. Every day, write down at least 5 things you feel truly grateful for, things that represent signs of abundance already present in your life. It could be the food you have, a sincere friendship, a roof over your head, an idea that came to you. Gratitude shifts focus from what is lacking to what exists, and that changes your vibration. Finally, be mindful of what you consume. Negative news, victimizing conversations, fear-based content, all of this reinforces the vibration of scarcity. To reprogram your mind, you need a clean mental environment nurtured with positive stimuli. Abundance begins in the invisible, but needs space and clear intention to manifest in the visible. No internal transformation is sustained solely on the mental plane. You must feel. Emotions are the force that energizes thoughts and transforms them into experiences. When we speak of manifesting abundance, we are not only dealing with ideas, but with vibrations that must be felt in the body, in the heart, in the soul. The mind can imagine, but it is feeling that communicates with the field of reality. There is a crucial difference between saying, "I want abundance," and feeling deeply at peace, secure and satisfied as someone who already lives in abundance. The first is desire, the second is alignment, and the universe responds to alignment, not to desire. Emotion is the energetic seal that authenticates intention. Without it, everything remains in the field of possibilities. With it, possibility moves toward manifestation. The most potent emotions in creating an abundant reality are safety and satisfaction. Safety is the internal feeling that everything is in place, even if not everything is resolved. It is the trust in the flow of life, the certainty that an invisible order is working in our favor. Satisfaction is the feeling of completeness in the now. It is the opposite of anxiety, which lives in lack. Someone who feels satisfied is vibrating, "It already is," and that attracts more similar experiences. To cultivate these emotions, a daily practice of presence is necessary. Breathe deeply, sit in silence and observe your body. Notice where tensions and tightness lie. Often they reflect scarcity beliefs. Release, feel. Each time you allow a positive emotion to fill your being, you are reprogramming not only your mind, but your entire vibrational field. A powerful technique is active emotional visualization. It's not enough to mentally see the life you desire. You must feel yourself within it. Imagine, for example, that you live in financial balance. How would your body feel in that scenario? How would you walk? How would you breathe? What would you feel upon waking? Bring those emotions into the present. Let them become familiar. The body needs to get used to what the mind is creating. Another path is to remember real moments when you felt complete, confident, grateful. Reaccessing these memories is an effective way to anchor powerful emotions and reactivate vibrational states of abundance. Your brain records these recollections as living experiences, capable of altering your frequency in the now. Finally, recognize that emotion is your vibrational GPS. If something you are doing, thinking, or consuming generates fear, constriction, frustration, you are moving away from the frequency of abundance. If it generates calm, inspiration, joy, you are on the right path. Feeling is what transforms knowledge into creation. And only through feeling does abundance cease to be a concept and become a concrete experience. There is a universal principle that runs through spiritual traditions, philosophical schools, and modern consciousness studies. What is inside is reflected outside. This is the essence of the law of correspondence, expressed masterfully in ancient wisdom like, as above, so below, or as within, so without. This law reveals that external reality is not cause, it is effect. The true origin of everything we live lies in the state of our consciousness. Jacobo Grinberg understood this principle deeply. By studying the mechanisms of perception and the neuronal field, he concluded that the reality we experience is a selection made from the internal structure of the mind. This means that we do not live the world as it is, but the world as we are within. When we truly grasp this, we abandon the struggle against circumstances and focus on inner transformation. If your current reality is marked by limitations, scarcity, or stagnation, it is not a sentence, it is just a mirror. And mirrors are not changed from the outside. Trying to change material conditions without first changing the state of consciousness is like trying to modify a reflection in the mirror without changing the face. Does it work? No. And it only generates frustration, exhaustion, and a greater feeling of helplessness. The law of correspondence invites us to a radical repositioning. Act on the cause, not on the effect. And the cause is always what you believe, feel, and sustain vibrationally. This does not mean denying the current reality, but understanding that it is the result of prior internal states, and that by changing the present vibrational state, the future inevitably transforms. This understanding also teaches us about the timing of manifestation. There is a natural interval between the internal change and the external evidence. It is the vibrational gestation period. Many people give up at this point because they do not yet see concrete results and revert to the old state of scarcity. But those who understand the law maintain the new pattern even without immediate proof, because they know the invisible always precedes the visible. The role of faith in this process is not to wait passively, but to sustain a new internal state with conviction, even when reality has yet to reflect it. This is conscious creation. It is to live today as someone who is already aligned with prosperity, even if the external signs remain silent. The universe does not respond to anxious requests, but to coherent vibrations. By applying this law practically, you cease to be a hostage to circumstances and become a co-creator of your life. You understand that you don't have to fight for abundance. You need to correspond to abundance with your consciousness. And when this correspondence is established, prosperity ceases to be an unattainable goal and becomes the inevitable consequence of who you choose to become. Now that you have understood that abundance is not something to be achieved, but something to be activated from your state of consciousness, the next step is in your hands. It is not enough to understand intellectually. You must apply, practice, and incorporate this new vibration into your routine, into your choices, into your outlook on life. Start today. Choose an affirmation that resonates with abundance. Repeat it with emotion, visualize the reality you desire intensely, and act as someone who already lives that truth. When fear, doubt, or the old sensation of "it's not for me" arises, remember, this is just a reflection of your past vibrational state, and you no longer live there. If this content touched something inside you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who also needs to awaken to their inner power. We are building a community of elevated consciousness, and your presence makes all the difference. And leave in the comments a phrase that seals this new state. I choose to vibrate in abundance every day. You have already taken the first step. Now keep walking with confidence, because abundance is already flowing to you.